Good Monday morning of the 29th week of the year. Actually, right now it's Friday, 2 weeks beforehand. I just got in from riding my bike, and so I'm a little sweaty. But I like to be 2 weeks ahead of time on these, or else I'll panic. Yeah, that's the sad truth. I worry about everything. That's what some friend of mine said to me, Ted, you were born worrying. So, all right, I'm still worrying. Anyway, the gospel today is an interesting one. You know, this is actually wonderful. The readings this week, the Gospels of Luke all the way through, but also St. Paul's letter to the Romans, one of the greatest pieces of Christian literature. But I thought I'd start with the Luke, since here's what it says. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me." He replied to him, "Friend, who appointed me as your judge and arbiter?" And he said to the crowd, this is really important. Watch the moral claim here. Take care to guard against greed. For though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions. Then he told him a parable. There was a rich man whose land produced a bountiful harvest. He asked himself, "What shall I do? For I do not have space to store my harvest." And he said, "This is what I shall do. I shall tear down my barns and build larger ones. I'll store all my grain and other goods. And I shall say to myself, now as for you, you have so many good things stored up for many years. Rest, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this night your life will be demanded of you. And the things you have prepared, to whom will they all belong? Thus will it be for the one who stores up treasures for himself, but is not rich in what matters to God." You know, it sounds like he's opposed to all prudential. This guy's prudent. He's not greedy. He's preparing for the next day. He's storing. He is fostering his wealth, and he's protecting his wealth in a good way. That's how you can't fault him. See, our Lord often uses examples where the good is the enemy of the best. And here it is a very good thing what this guy's doing. But what he may be losing sight of is how short life is. He knows it's short enough that he has to prepare for the future. But does he realize how short it really is and what really matters? What really matters? It's that what really matters is what he's slightly, in the story, in the parable is what he's missing. Maybe he doesn't miss it, in fact, but it's in the parable that he is. He's not paying attention to it. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. He doesn't have the last part in there. For tomorrow we die, you see. I think, frankly, I think that you have to get old to appreciate the gospel today. When you're young, if you're not full of the promise of tomorrow, when are you going to be? When I'm in class, I'm looking at 18 to 22-year-old kids. They're all smart. They're good kids. I mean, I think we had St. Louis University. I'm sure I can only tell you we have the most wonderful young students. I mean it. How could you not love them? I mean it. How could you not? You got to be a misfit not to see in their faces not only intelligence, but real beauty and the promise of tomorrow. The promise of tomorrow. See? How could these kids not be dreaming of what could be? And I'm in the business of helping them achieve what could be, and do so as much as I can, because I believe in them, and I want them to believe in themselves. I want them to believe in the promise of tomorrow. But at the same time, I teach ethics, and I also teach philosophy of religion. And I'm very conscious of the human experience. The time is passing. It's both creative and diminishing. See? You don't feel the diminishment of time as poignantly when you're young and middle-aged, because you're still pursuing the promise of tomorrow. But as you reach a certain age, the promise of tomorrow is awfully limited. And what you have is the remembrance of yesterday. It's a simple truth. A friend of mine asked me, a colleague of mine asked me what I think about when I think about the future. I said, just today. I just think about flourishing today, because I don't have much of a future left. I'm 82 years old. If I live another 10 years, I'll be surprised, God will be surprised, and hopefully the devil will be surprised. You see? I don't know. But I have today. And I have the promise of the opportunities of today. I'm not going to do anything great in the future. I'm not going to create a new way of life for myself. I'm going to bring conclusion to the one I have with gratitude beyond words and the hope that I made a difference, you see? But I also remember those in my life who have made a difference. And in my elderly years now, I remember with such affection and gratitude because I experienced life's diminishment. I feel the diminishment of time, the passage of time, and the loss. What Alfred North Whitehead called the perpetual perishing of time. Time is perpetual perishing. In my condo here, I have photographs all over the place. Well, a lot of things here that are remembrances. They're symbols of yesterday, the life I have lived. But there's also photographs. And when I go down the steps in the morning, there are photographs. Some of them are 30, 40, 50 years old. Two men that I fished with, Pete and Demi. They were my father's friends. They've been dead 30 and 40 years. I will say hello to them as I go down the steps. Don Brennan, who was the dean here at the grad school. Uncle Donald. They called him Uncle Don. I always say, Uncle Donald, don't let me screw up today. Okay, I got a couple of tough things to do. Yeah, I see my family. I see June's picture. I said, good morning, June. Don't let me mess up today. Come on, don't let me mess up today. You see? I talked to those of my life, and they're all gone. My mother and father, my uncles and aunts. I remember with affection and gratitude. And then I live the day. I go on. I don't stay there staring at the pictures. I say hi to them, go down the steps, jump in my pickup, and go to school. Or go to church and then to school. I live the day. But I remember yesterday. One of my colleagues asked me, when I think of paradise, what do I think of? Rejoining those of my past. I want to be with my family again. I want to be with June again. I want to be with Bill. I want to be with all those I have loved and been loved by, imperfectly as it was, at least on my part. But it was at least genuine love. And I want to be with those I have loved and been loved by. Isn't that neat? But you see the temporality of time. You can't hold time. Time lures you forward and diminishes. You only have the moment to live it as best you can, reflecting on the past, in gratitude of the past, learning from the past, taking the past with you, but also forging tomorrow, today into tomorrow. See, the present moment is the moment that we recall and forge ahead. See, we make the new out of the old. That's neat, isn't it? In my house, I don't know if you could ever see these things. I got a bunch of deer heads here, and black bear. You see my bear? You've seen that before, right there. Did you see it? Get to see my little bear? A guy called my house the House of Carnage. That was really insulting, but he was too stupid to be insulting. It's not a house of carnage at all. It's a museum of remembrance. When you're looking in my house, when you're in this condo, you are seeing my story. It's on the walls. It's in the pictures, especially the photographs of family and friends. I look at them right as I sit here. I look across at June's picture and Sarah's. I look across my mom and dad, but I see the deer, and I remember the excitement of those deer that gave me their lives. Yeah. When I look at the wolf, especially the wolf, I remember Alaska. That's where I got the pelt. See, I had it mounted because I remember the wolf that visited me in Canada. That's not a trophy. It's a sacrament of the wilderness. If you know me, you know the fish on the wall I caught, the deer I've taken, the bears. But this is not bragging. This is remembering. And I do wonder what will happen to these things when I'm gone, because they cannot mean as much to anyone else as they mean to me. Not because they are valuable or wealthy, it's because they are the symbols of my narrative. They're the sacrament of my narrative. I hope my closest friends here will take them. Not because they're expensively valuable, whether they are or not, I don't know, but because they are symbols and sacraments of me. When they see the wolf, they'll remember me. No, they will see me and see me in the bear. That's neat, isn't it? I'm just reflecting. Time is passage. We yearn for tomorrow. We remember yesterday. And then we hope for eternity.